Good evening, everybody. Thursday night, December 10th, 2015. Do you believe it? Well, this is our Thursday Night Diamonds Network call. It's the Elizabeth Diamond and Candy Jar Candy show, and where we give you awesome tools just to encourage you through your life to keep, increasing your vibrations on the way to the golden age, which we are already on. We're at the beginning stages. Your little ego voices may be tell you every day, nothing's changing. Just do what I do. Put tape on their mouth, set them in a chair, push them back to the other room, close the doors, and then give them a big, I put hearts of rain, raining hearts on them. That's just give them love while they're back in that room, because we love everything, guys. So, welcome, everybody. Candy's not feeling well. She's a little under the weather today, so I'll be doing the show tonight. Love you, Candy. And let's see here. Let me just clear the room. Welcome, everybody coming, and we'll get started here. Okay. Whoops. Okay. Oh, darn. Can you guys hear me? Somebody just *6, let me know. I think I put my phone on 2 different Diamonds lines. Let's see. Can you hear me?
Elizabeth, it's Mim. We hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Well, welcome. And if you guys have not listened to the Monday night call, that was fantastic. With Cynthia and Candy and Chris, explained the story, continued the story which he explained last Monday. Check that one out, regarding what our ET brothers and sisters are calling missing time. But in a nutshell, he's explaining with his own experience that he found out, get ready for your mouths to drop, that he found out that we, all of us, are really older in age in this lifetime. We're living here in this lifetime, older in age than we think we are. I know. It's like, huh? Okay. So, okay, somebody just *6, please. So, if you that story continued this Monday. It's up on YouTube, and last Monday it started with Chris. So, really interesting stuff we're getting into. I thought we were all awake and learned about the bad guys and the good guys all we can, but we're still learning more. All right, and Tuesday's show was great, a musical show, so on the Voices of the Alternative World. And Wednesday's show last night, oh my God, if you didn't, this is the best show ever. We, all of us were there, the Rainbow Diamond Council, on Wednesday's show, and we reviewed what the Diamonds Network has done and where we're going. A little bit of Cobra's site, Prepare for Change. It was just fantastic. So that should be up on YouTube. You can listen to it on the recorded line, and that reference number is, sorry guys, I'm stumbling tonight. Wednesday, that was last night. You should listen to it. It's about an hour and a half long. Number 335 pound on the recorded line. Monday's call on the recorded line is 333 pound. And all of these will be up on YouTube. Some of them are already, so check it out. All righty. I wanted to start with this. We'll just do a little different format tonight. I want to have some discussion, you guys. I want you guys to come in. Let's just have a free-for-all. But I have some things I'll bring in first, and then we'll have our little party, pre-Christmas party, huh? This is a picture I posted tonight to advertise the call tonight. I just thought it was really inspiring. To your enemy, forgiveness. To an opponent, tolerance. To a friend, your heart. To a customer, service. To all, charity. To a child, a good example. And to yourself, respect. Isn't that beautiful? All right. I wanted to start out with something a little different here. I want to do a little meditation with you guys. I'm going to start out with what most of the esoteric people call it is light language. I call it, because I come from the Christian realm, speaking in tongues, different languages. I have spoken lots of different languages and sang. So I'm going to do a ignition activation for you guys tonight. We'll start with that light language. And by the way, what I'm reading, the book I read is Sunshine Before the Dawn. Judy Satori, she comes from the Christian realm. She also speaks and does activations in her light language. From different, I think they come from, they're stored in you and all of us from our different beings that helped us and that we've maybe been before in other lifetimes. Or we are now in our multidimensional selves in other, planets. Hard to wrap your head around, too. And I'll start with the light language, and then I'm going to do a meditation that will help, and I'm going to say the number 528. That number is a frequency, Hertz frequency, for a love. So that will travel all through your body, and we're going to go all the way down to the delta stage, and then you can use this as an example as you guys are meditating through the day. It's really simple. And you can say, when I say the 528, when you repeat it for yourselves and you practice it at home, you don't necessarily have to speak it out loud. Sometimes it helps you be really relaxed, and you can practice at the same time using your telepathy. So, and you can practice having faith and belief in yourself. You can say this little meditation in your mind, in your mind. And that's really cool to do. All right, let me turn this Facebook off because it keeps clicking. Sorry, guys. All right, log it out. And then I'm going to read a little bit of an introduction to Life and Teaching of the Masters of the Far East, probably just, a page or two, just to get you interested and see if you want to read it, because they're really awesome. Get you hyped up for yourself, your supernatural, natural self, and it's really great. And then we'll do a few other things, and then we're going to have you guys join in. So think of what you guys want to talk about tonight, or a conversation we can all have, whatever. All right. Let me just check here, guys. I'm just being careful with my phone here. I got a new one that hangs up on me. Okay, get in a relaxed position. And pretend like you're a sponge, and pretend like you're melting honey. You are melting honey and a sponge. And we'll do this. Shikyana mahayalana heyana heyam baradeshi Kiana na yala mami kiala mone o yamalana nini ajana kilamania nana yatare makala name wamashi kiala la 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 na yali Dimbe dara namana yamana nini yanamoko ya la 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 mama Shanamakiala lamoko ya la la namoko ye hela yana hayala hanona yana mo la 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 ya la 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 nama ya la 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 na o la 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 yana ya la la o la 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 mo la la mo na na yana na Manna na yana na ya shana na ya la 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 lo la mana la lo la 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 wa ha ha sha Now the frequency of love. 5, 2, 8. Let that frequency of love pour into you like warm honey over your head, all the way down to your toes. 5, 2, 8. Feel your body changing, the warmth, the subtle sensations. That is the love sinking into you, soaking into you. Soak, soak, soak. 5, 2, 8. Now we'll go deeper into Delta self-healing stage. 5, 2, 8, 1. Deeper, deeper. Soak like the sponge. Feel the warm honey. 5, 2, 8, 0.5. Delta stage accomplished. 5, 2, 8. All organs open. Feel every organ in your body opening now. Focus on those subtle sensations in your body. Thank you, organs, for opening. 5, 2, 8. All cells open. 5, 2, 8. All unsupported energy go out now. 5, 2, 8. All supported energy for my highest good of all concerned. Come in now. Feel all your cells filling up with the highest good of all energy that's around you, the beings that are supporting you, downloading codes, the sun, the second sun, God, Jesus, the masters, your guides, your higher self, your emotional self, spiritual, mental, physical, all cells open up in every one of those bodies. All of the supported energy that's needed for all of our bodies. Come in now for the highest good of all concerned. Okay. Awakening now. 5, 2, 8, 1. You're waking up more, coming back to your body. 5, 2, 8. Love. Conquer all in these bodies for the highest good of all concerned. Shinyana he yala he yana Makiliana yalamoye mane umianian overshadow halani umaniu niana niano mangiala Take a deep breath. In and out. Breathe in all that happiness from all of us. Breathe out. Let go. Surrender. Hallelujah. Glory. Okay. Yay. All right, let me just read this excerpt from the life and teachings of the Masters of the Far East, and this is what Cynthia refers to this book series all the time. It's a beautiful book series. I've read volume 1 and 2. And then we'll just have a little discussion, and then I can read the chapter Sunshine Before Dawn or whatever brings us this way. Life and Teaching of the Masters of the Far East by Bard T. Spalding, Volume 1, and the foreword. And I'm only going to read for like 3 minutes or so. In presenting the life and teaching of the Masters of the Far East, I wish to state that I was one of a research party of 11 persons that visited the Far East in 1894. During our stay, 3.5 years, we contacted the great masters of the Himalayas who aided us in the translation of the records, which was of great assistance in our research work. They permitted us to enter into their lives intimately, and we were thus able to see the actual working of the great law as demonstrated by them. Let me add here, well, I understand now why I'm intuition to read a little part of this tonight, even this forward, is we're at the stage in our vibration now, at least a group of us, and we're getting ready to meet our mentors, our mentor ET brothers and sisters, mentors. They'll come in many ways, many aspects, but we have mentors. They'll talk with you in your mind or show up in your room or meet a friend that seems like you've known them for a long time, many different ways. Okay. We call them masters, which is merely our name for them. One living the life described herein is entitled to reverence and consideration as a master. Records and manuscripts are our actual experience with the masters were preserved. Personally, at that time, I thought the world was not ready for this message. I was an independent member of the research party, and I am now publishing my notes under the title Life and Teaching of the Masters of the Far East, with the thought that the reader may accept or reject as he wishes. This book, which will be followed by others of Sun series, gives the first year's experience of the expedition in relation to the masters. It includes their teaching, which was taken by us stenographically at that time, with their permission and approved by them. The masters accept that Buddha represents the way to enlightenment, but they clearly set forth that Christ is enlightenment. He's that honey we had tonight, guys. Yummy, yummy. And if you missed it, go back and listen to the meditation we did, you guys, after the call. Okay, but they clearly set forth that Christ is enlightenment, or a state of consciousness for which we are all seeking, the Christ light of every individual. Therefore, the light of every child that is born into the world. Signed, Bard T. Spalding, Chapter 1. Okay, let me just start reading a little bit of it, and then we're going to bring you guys all in. We had been in India about 2 years doing regular routine research work when I met the master known in these writings as Emil. While walking along a street in the city where we were staying, my attention was attracted to a crowd. I saw the center of interest was one of the street magicians, or fakirs, F-A-K-I-R-S. And as I'm reading this, just think of you and you meeting your mentor or more than one mentors. It's going to be in a supernatural way and natural ways that we understand. This is the time, you guys. Okay, or fakirs that are so common in that country. As I stood there, I noticed beside me an elderly man who was not of the same caste as those about him. He looked at me and asked if I had been long in India. I replied, "About 2 years." He asked, "Are you English?" I answered, "American." I was surprised and very much interested to find one who spoke English. I asked him what he thought of the performance then going on. He answered, "Oh, it is a common occurrence in India. These fellows are called fakirs, magicians, and hypnotists. They are all the name implies, but underneath it all is a deeper spiritual meaning that few discern. And good will come of it someday. It is but the shadows of the thing from which it sprang. It has caused a great deal of comment, and those commenting upon it seem never to have reached the true meaning, for there certainly is a truth underneath it all." Here we parted, and I saw him only occasionally during the next few months. Our expedition was confronted by a problem which gave us a great deal of trouble. In the midst of our worries, I again met Emil. That's E-M-I-L. Immediately, he asked what was bothering me and began talking about our problem. I wondered at this, for I felt that none of our party had mentioned it outside of our little circle. His familiarity with the situation was such that I felt the whole matter was known to him. He explained that he had a certain insight into the affair and that he would endeavor to help. Within a day or two, the matter was cleared up, leaving us without a problem. We wondered at this, but with other things to occupy our time, soon forgot. As other problems came up, it became a habit with me to talk them over with Emil. It seemed that as soon as I discussed our troubles with him, they would cease to exist. My associates had met and talked with Emil, but I had said little to them about him. By this time, I had read a number of books on Hindu lore selected by Emil, and I was fully convinced that he was one of the adepts. My curiosity was keenly aroused, and I was becoming more deeply interested each day. One Sunday afternoon, Emil and I were walking in a field when he called my attention to a pigeon circling overhead and casually remarked that the bird was looking for him. He stood perfectly still, and in a few moments the bird alighted upon his outstretched arm. He said the bird has a message from his brother in the north. This proved to be a fellow worker who had not reached the attainment whereby he could communicate directly. So he took this means. We later found that the masters are able to communicate with each other instantly by thought transference, or, as they call it, a force much more subtle than either electricity or wireless. I then began to ask questions, and Emil showed me that he was able to call the birds to him and direct their flight while they were in the air, that the flowers and trees would nod to him, that the wild animals would come to him fearlessly. He parted 2 jackals that were fighting over the body of a smaller animal that they had killed and were feeding upon. When he approached them, they stood fighting and put their heads in his outstretched hands in perfect trust, or they stopped fighting. Then resumed their meal in quiet. He even gave me one of the young wild creatures to hold in my hand. He then said to me, "This is not the mortal self, the self you see, that is able to do these things. It is a truer, deeper self. It is what you know as God, God within me, God, the omnipotent one working through me, that does these things. Of myself, the mortal self, I can do nothing. It is only when I get rid of the outer entirely and let the actual, the I am, speak and work and let the great love of God come forth, that I can do these things that you have seen. When you let the love of God pour through you to all things, nothing fears you and no harm can befall you." Well, I'm freaking out right now. The meditation I did at the beginning of this call goes right with what this is saying. I'm going to continue to read a little bit more so you guys can be encouraged of your mentors that are soon to arrive in your house, and in many different ways. Okay, every day during this time I had lessons with Emil. I would suddenly appear, or he would suddenly appear in my room, even if I had special care to lock the door before retiring. At first, his appearance at will disturbed me, but I soon saw that he took it for granted that I understood. I became accustomed to his ways and left my door open so that he could come and go as he pleased. The confidence seemed to please him. The confidence. I could not understand all his teachings, and I could not accept them fully, nor was I able, with all I saw while in the East, to fully accept at the time. It required years of meditation to bring me the realization of the deep spiritual meaning of these people's lives. Their work is accomplished without ostentation and in perfect childlike simplicity. They know the power of love to protect them, and they cultivate it until all nature is in love with them and befriends them. Thousands of the common people are killed annually by serpents and wild animals. Yet these masters have so brought forth the power of love in themselves that serpents and wild animals don't injure them. They live at times in the wildest jungles and sometimes lay their bodies down before a village to protect it from the ravages of wild animals, and no harm befalls the village or themselves. When occasion requires, they walk on water, go through fire, travel in the invisible, and do many other things that we have been accustomed to look upon as miracles performed only by one supposed in some way to possess supernatural powers. There's a striking resemblance between the life and teaching of Jesus of Nazareth and those of these masters as exemplified in their daily life. It has been thought impossible for man to derive his daily supply directly from the universal, to overcome death, to perform the various so-called miracles that Jesus performed while on earth. The masters prove that all these are daily life. They supply everything needed for their daily wants directly from the universal, including food, clothing, and money. This is what we have to look forward to. Financial reset, the natural reset in us, right? They supply everything needed for their daily wants directly from the universal, including food, clothing, and money. They have so far overcome death that many of them now living are over 500 years of age, as was conclusively proved by their records. Let me take you back to Monday's call and the Monday before that. Chris and the ETs talk about missing time regarding our age and our life today that we're living on this earth, that we've been lied to, that we are older than we think. Like if you're 30 years old now, you're really older. Chris is 200-some years older. So they deceived us in that. I know, hard to get your mind around. Go listen to those calls and just let it soak for a while. Okay, let me finish up here. There is a striking resemblance between the life and teaching of. There are comparatively few of these masters in India. Other cults seeming to be but offshoots of their teaching. They realize their number is limited and that only a few scholars can come to them. In the invisible, however, they can reach almost unlimited numbers, and it seems to be the great work of their lives to reach out into the invisible and help all who are receptive to their teaching. And we are masters, and this is our supernatural natural stage, but we have mentors coming along here. This is the time. And your mentors will even unlock in you what you already know, that they'll help you to remember what you already know. Okay, the teaching of Emil laid the foundation for the work which we were to take up years later in our third expedition to these countries, during which time we lived with the masters continuously for 3.5 years, traveled with them and observed their daily lives and work throughout the Far East. That's chapter 1. Just a little example for us and what's coming. And guys, go read this. This is very encouraging for all of us, like Cynthia always says. Life and Teaching of the Masters of the Far East by Bard T. Spalding. Bard is B as in boy, A as in apple, I, R, D as in dog. Spalding, Palding. Well, I guess I read that tonight to encourage us all. I wanted to remind you, I had on my list here tonight, remember that we are already integrated fully. All our chakras are integrated, and I don't know the word to use, cleaned out, so to speak, ready to spin. And we're all in different, turning on in different, our perceptions different, how we each perceive us turning on. So because we're all unique. So regarding Cynthia's dream she had through February of last year through September 22nd of this year, they encoded or they unlocked all of our chakras and all of our bodies, whether we know it or not. And at the same time, energies have been coming in from the central sun and from our other beings encoding us because we're in a third dimensional consciousness world, but fourth dimensional waves all last year came through and the beginning of this year came through to expand our consciousness and to expand Earth, Mother Earth, and all life here on Earth. So we are now into the last wave of expanding consciousness of 5D coming up here on the 21st of December 2015. We've got all of 4D consciousness expanding energy that we've received, and we've been receiving lots of 5D consciousness expanding in us that we've been receiving. So the last wave of that, December 21st, and this is according to Franco Di Niccolo, coming in, and we will still be integrating all that January through March of 2016. But in the midst of all that, Candy's show last night, I heard Candy Jar Candy, she talked a little bit about that. So I wanted to put this to go with that. So, you know, fifth dimension is possible to meet our mentors that are in different realms and dimensions. And I guess that's part of the reason why I read this a little bit in the Masters of the Far East tonight. So let me open up the room a little bit. I have more, but I wanted to just make some conversation. Anybody would like to come in, just *6. Mim, I know you're there. Come in for a minute. My friend Mim may be busy, but if you're on Mim or anybody, would you guys like to make any comments thus far?
Well, I am here, Elizabeth.
Great.
It's been a busy time. I'm with family and grandchildren, and I just took a little time to step in the other room and listen in. I wanted to say I did hear a little bit of Monday, not enough, and I did want to get the reference number so I could go back. So it sounds like that was, did you say it was number 33 or 133?
It's 333 pound.
333 pound. Okay, and then last night was 335, right?
Yes, 335, and tonight's 336.
Okay. So I want to make note of those.
If you want to get the whole story of missing time, you'd want to listen to 333. That's this Monday's, and then last Monday's is when Chris started his personal story of finding out about missing time.
Okay, yeah, I did hear a little bit of that, and I heard a little bit of Monday, and I heard the Tuesday night call. I did listen to it throughout the night, kind of over and over. I kept falling asleep, but I just thought that was really wonderful when Merle came in and shared, and I'm looking forward to next Monday when he comes back. That was really a fascinating story. I look forward to more of his music, and I'm looking forward to Cynthia tonight.
Cynthia's next. Cynthia was last week. I even missed that. I forgot.
Oh, it's every other. It's every other week. I forgot. Okay. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to hearing, her last Thursday because I did miss that, and I just think you're doing a great job and you're pulling a lot of things together, and And it's really amazing, Elizabeth, knowing from where we started with our little infinity vortex call. And our little eagles were landing, kind of a situation where one person would be calling on top of another, and we just decided that we needed to have a way for all of us to be on the line at the same time instead of having to repeat the news. And look what this has turned into for you, and I'm just so happy for you.
And
I'm
you,
proud
Mim,
of you.
you, Mim, you're part of the Diamond Network too. All of you,
yes,
everybody,
yes,
in any way we participate, we're part of the Diamond Network. And
that's right. And
yeah.
my sister doesn't speak up very often, but she does listen when she can.
Yesterday she did a little. That's nice.
Oh, good. Good. Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that, because even though she doesn't say much, her heart is here with you, and we do add our energies and our love, and we receive much. So I want to bless, all the new people that I don't really know that well. I've heard them. Of course, I know Marianne and Meredith is Mare. And of course, I always love to hear them speaking when they share on Cynthia's, on the evenings when they share and help with the readings and different things. And I think that's great that you're sharing about the life and teachings of the Masters of the Far East. I've made it through 4 of the books at least, but it's been a while since I've been able to revisit them. But, I've lived in some of those dimensions for a long time, and I do know that things are increasing. You're experiencing it. I'm seeing it in my children and grandchildren's lives with the things that they share. They're just coming right along with us. And so I just want to bless you and thank you for, making yourself available to be growing and bringing in the people that God is bringing into your life. Thank you for all of your wonderful guests and your associated moderators, Chris and Candy Shop Candy and of course Cynthia. And I don't know if Richard ever comes in and shares or not. I know he's in a supportive role. And
for everybody that's ever been on the Diamonds, right? Captain.
Yeah, absolutely.
You, Richard. Yes. Judy,
because we are connected, and
Lily.
Yes, and Lily. We are all connected, and somehow we resonate with each other, and we are a family in that universe in which we all share together. And I'm thankful for that. It's been a blessing in my life.
Oh, you're so sweet. And I thank you back. The same, what you just gave me, I give you back, because you're part of the Diamonds Network. You all of you guys tonight, and everybody that listens to it, what I call the benefactor, patrons. We're patrons and benefactors gathering together, and your energies intertwined at Diamonds Network, if you ever listen to one of these shows. And it's going to be a big pioneering step for the world. You guys just wait and see. You're part of history making, pioneering history making. Remember the pioneer days? The pioneer days?
Oh,
they had it rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is the modern day pioneering, you guys. Oh, and Mim, I want to mention, you got to listen to last night's show. Everybody, the Rainbow Diamond Council was there, and we put forth a synopsis of what the Diamonds Network has done and is doing in a bigger picture. It's a great call. That's going to go out to the world. Please,
I do believe that. I do believe that. I do believe that. It's a very humble group, and I know that great things are being done. And whenever Chris comes on, and you ask him to bring or ask different questions to different ones that he's interacting with, and it's a beautiful flow of energy between you and Chris. When he sees these beings, and then you ask him to, or you speak to them, and you offer that love and forgiveness, and love is the key to all the answers. Love answers everything. And when the one night, I don't know, it's been 2 or 3 weeks ago, that I was on, and you and Chris were talking, and he invited. There was a being that came in, and he stood in on behalf of a whole group of beings that got released that night. And I don't know what's happened since then, but I was in tears. I was shaking. I was just, really thrilled with the joy of the expansion that was going out into the timelines, to extend that love and healing to all beings,
yes,
that need that help.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It was beautiful.
Thank you. Yes, we're all doing great work. The first Rainbow Diamond Council meeting, Jesus drew a rainbow around the whole earth, and then he had like diamonds splashing out of it, and that's us, and that's the energy of the Diamonds Network, you guys. So please be a benefactor. You'll get diamonded back big time. Blessings, in your own life. Yes. Because we're showing the action from all of our hearts that, yes, we believe love is the way. Love conquers all. So even though we don't show it all the time in our individual lives, we have our hearts set that way, and you guys will get blessed back. Yes.
Well, I do agree with you, and I bless you, and I will go ahead and mute out and let someone else share. Look forward to what you have coming up here this evening.
Thank you, dear. Love you.
All right. Love you, too.
Yes. Is there anybody else who'd like to come in and share? Anything, comment, questions? Oh, I hear somebody laughing. Having fun. You hear that, guys? Right. No, I like your laugh. How are you tonight? Maybe they don't hear me. Okay, anybody else? Otherwise, I'm going to read, for my part, usually I read Sunshine Before the Dawn by Judy Satori. So if you missed the first 4 chapters, oh my God, it's the true story of why we're here on Earth. It's regarding our brothers and sisters, ET friends that have, from the beginning, it's the story from the beginning, how they came to help us and integrate, make our DNA better from their own essence. It's a beautiful story, and every chapter has been a pattern that we read. Every time we read it is like going with the energies we're experiencing now, because our genetics were helped by these ETs a long time ago before we're in this phase of our 26,000-year cycle. They planned this out. And it's just beautiful. And they're talking, this was in the past that they did this, but the chapters we're reading is what they helped us with, like a chapter we read last week. It tells what they helped us with, and it's like what we're experiencing right now that they were planning on for us to happen or experience way back thousands of years ago. It is just phenomenal. So anybody else want to speak up? You just star 6. If you're brand new, I'd like to hear you and to just come say hi and let us know how you're liking it so far too. But if not, let's just go through this chapter. I'm going to read chapter 5 of Sunshine Before the Dawn. The rest of the candy shows and Elizabeth Diamond candy shows, look for those. And I'm always reading the chapter at the middle of the show, towards the end, the last hour. So if you want to catch up with the book, it's really beautiful. It pertains to you guys. Okay. Okay, well, you'll let me just read this, and then we'll have more discussion afterwards. Okay, guys? All right. It's 5, the blessing. Let me just review the chapters we read, so you can, if you haven't listened to all of them, but you will, because it's very pertinent for this time. Let me just clear the line. Hold on. Okay, I just cleared the line. That side's still open. Star 6 at any time to come in. So the chapters we've read so far in Sunshine Before the Dawn is 1, the Dreamers. Number 2 is Essiana. And this is also a love story, too. Beautiful. Between 2 ETs that are different vibrations. Like one's a 5th vibration and one's an 8th vibration. 5D consciousness, and they fell in love, but they can't marry because they're too far in vibration apart. And it has a storyline throughout the story. It's just interesting, and it's real good. So number 3 chapter is Epiphany. Number 4 is Lyra. That's the town that one of the gals live in on the Galactic Council. And number 5, The Blessing, which we'll read tonight. Okay, so let me start. Let me just see. 3. Okay. 5, The Blessing. To travel to Epsilon Lyra, many light years and dimensions away from Sirius, the physical bodies of Essiana and the rest of her team had to be dematerialized, transported, and then reconstructed. It was a science that had long been practiced and perfected by the star nations within this 12-dimensional matrix of light. But even so, there were always some risks involved. When the group came back into this is the group that's working on starting to plan how they're going to help us with our DNA. When the group came back into their physical bodies and returned to consciousness, they all felt a twinge of relief. Consciously, they had no awareness of what had happened to them, but they intellectually understood that for a moment in time, their physical selves had simply ceased to be. What a strange feeling, right, guys? These are all clues for us, so they're going to help us prepare our supernatural natural self coming out, guys. They found themselves standing inside the transporter station chamber on the northernmost star of the constellation of Epsilon Lyra, the 12th dimensional and the most important and influential civilization within the Lyran and Vegan star system. The transporter chamber was circular and had transparent walls like glass. Looking out, Essiana is one of the head of the Galactic Council when they're meeting to get this together. Essiana and she's the one in love with Mastiana. Essiana could see a number of people watching and waiting as they approached the transporter station, a circular building. It was sheathed on the inside with what looked like a silvery white metal. There were a few comfortable chairs placed around the central chamber, and it was here that several of the Lyrian leaders were sitting, waiting to greet the Syrian team. Mastiana was among them. His eyes lit up as he saw Essiana rematerialize inside the chamber. He sprang to his feet to open the doors. "Welcome to all of you. Welcome to Lyra," said Mastiana. He was joined by the other Lyrian leaders who extended their upturned palms to the visitors in the gesture of welcome. Mastiana used the universal language of light that was spoken by the Star Nations as a common tongue to communicate with Essiana and the others in her group. "We are delighted to welcome you all to our land," he said. "We have been looking forward to this day ever since the idea of the human creation was discussed and agreed on by the Galactic Council. Now it is time for you and the Lyran women who weave the strands of dream time to begin this work together." They are all excited and anxious to begin, but today you will need to rest. Tomorrow we will familiarize you with our city and some other interesting places nearby, and then the work will begin. He turned to Essiana. "It's such a pleasure to see you again, Essiana. Tomorrow I plan to spend the day with you and your group and show you around our city. I feel that many of you will begin to remember previous lifetimes when you were part of our civilization. I am sure that you will enjoy this experience of coming home to Lyra. Now I will take you to your place of rest. The things that you have brought with you will be delivered to you soon. We will go together to your accommodation by Kana, our transit system here on Lyra. Kana, K-A-N-A, is a transit system." Okay. Okay. Most people on Lyra do not have transport vehicles as you have on Sirius. We travel within our own personal space. Come, I'll show you. Let us go. Together they walked outside the building, which was fringed with very tall trees and tropical-looking flowering plants. The flowers were mostly pink, but they were such intense shades of pink that the Syrians were transfixed and stood admiring them until Mastiana urged them on. Above them was the violet sky of Lyra that they had all heard so much about. The beauty was incredible. This place seemed to vibrate with a high energy of pure love. The group from Sirius fought to hold back tears of joy. It really felt to them like a kind of homecoming. Their soul memory resonated completely with this city and this land. This is what we'll feel like, a little example of when we start waking up of our other lives we've lived. Staff members from the Blue Palms came out to meet the group to show them to their rooms. Mastiana said that he would collect them the following day for their tour of the city. He shook hands with each of them and departed on the Cana, flying off through the air, encased in the beam of silvery blue light. Essiana and the others went inside the Blue Palms. The building seemed even more imposing inside than it had appeared from the outside. In the center of the enormous octagonally shaped entrance hall was a reception area with a round counters constructed from some kind of pale blue stone. Inside this circular counter, several women worked, greeting people and processing documentation. Quite close to the reception area was a double staircase, two intertwining and moving staircases of the same silvery blue light beams as the Kana system. They twirled up and down like a DNA spiral. One of the stairs of light spiraled up, the other spiraled down. They met and merged together like a double helix about 100 feet above the reception area, and then continued to rise, spiraling up to the many floors above. Like the walls of all the other buildings they had seen far on Epsilon Lyra so far, the hotel walls looked like opaque glass. Standing as they were in the center of the building near the reception area, the Syrians could see all the way to the rooftop and the violet sky overhead. It was like looking up through a glass tunnel with opaque walls. When the spiraling staircase twisted together at each level of the building, they could not see further, as these areas led to the private rooms. The only clear view was upward, through the center of the tunnel like a terrarium. From there, it was possible to see all the way to the sky. In addition to the reception counter and the spiral staircase of light, the huge reception lobby contained a fountain of water that flowed continuously, cascading down over many sizable rocks and stones to the floor below and into a pond full of tiny purple fish. And for more appeal, the same pink flowering bushes they had seen in the grounds were planted in groups of containers together with the signature blue palms. The guest rooms of the blue palms opened out from each level where the light beams crossed. The Syrians were shown to rooms on the third floor. Their belongings had already arrived and were waiting for them in their rooms. Essiana reminded them all to do their breathing exercises before they went to sleep, because this group came from a lower vibration than this land they're in now. So they had breathing exercises Essiana taught them how to do so they could be able to have a good time in this vibration that they're in on this planet. Okay, so to do their breathing exercise before they went to sleep and said good night. Her room was very luxurious, even though it was simply furnished. The Illyrians believed in beauty combined with simplicity, a minimalist approach to life that showed in their architecture and, indeed, in their entire way of living. Dominating the center of the room was a large circular bed covered in white sheets with several soft, downy pillows and a silver blue coverlet, which looked light and flimsy, but when Essiana felt it, was warm and quite heavy to the touch. The four walls of the room were a translucent shade of pink, so pale that the color was almost white, but with just enough warmth to relieve the room's austerity. The pink walls looked like glass, but a muted kind of glass. Essiana could not see through the 3 interior walls, but she could clearly see out through the exterior wall to a view over tall trees toward a waterfall and the emerald sky beyond. It felt as though she was suspended in a treehouse in the sky. The entire exterior wall, from floor to ceiling, functioned as one enormous window. One of the opaque walls was devoted to cupboards and storage. This wall slid open at the touch of a switch or by intention. If Essiana wished to try the Lyrian way of doing things, another switch opened another part of the room that contained a long table on which to work or eat and a comfortable reclining chair. This chair was covered in a rich, very dark blue fabric. It looked sublimely comfortable, and Essiana fell into it with a sigh of relief. My back aches, she thought to herself. I wish I could have someone rub my back. Immediately, what felt like a hand come up from out of the chair and began to rub her back. Essiana was so surprised she jumped up and almost cried out. This has given us a stronger vision of what our world will look like and our ET brothers and sisters that we galactic-wise look like. More detail, lots of detail, guys. Okay, now, where did I go? Maybe she fell. Okay. Jumped up and almost cried out. Immediately, she felt rather foolish and hoped no one could see her through the full-length clear wall of her room. Then she remembered that from the outside, the building appeared like a sheath of pale blue crystal, and she had not been able to see anything at its interior or of the people within. On the table, she found a visual recording spoken in the universal language of light, describing how to use all the features of the room. She discovered that the chair responded to intention. If a guest thought, I'm cold, it would make her warm. If she thought, I'm tired, she would feel deep relaxation. If she felt sad, it would wrap around her, hold her tight, and beam love into every cell of her body. Oh my God, that's the meditation activation we did, you guys. See how things are synchronicity? This particular guest, Essiana sat back on the chair again just to try this command. Although she wasn't really sad, it felt incredible. Waves of love flowed through her body, and she felt her heart opening wide. She thought of Mastiana and for a moment wished he was here with her. And then she let the thought go. It could not possibly be that way for them. At this time on their soul's journey, he was Lyrian and she was Syrian. They could not be together. Dimensionally, they were too far apart. Now she really did feel sad and sat on the chair again for a few minutes just to feel better. The room orientation visual explained that there was a switch to dim the light inside the room by raising the optic density of the exterior walls. She flicked this with a command of her mind, had a quick wash in the adjoining bathroom, did her breathing exercises, and went to bed. She slept deeply and for a long time in the lush comfort of a circular white bed. She woke to a knock on the door. A young woman with long flaxen hair twisted around her head in the Lyrian style brought breakfast, a plate of fruits and a strange type of nut, along with a large glass of a greenish-colored drink. Even though the Lyrians themselves did not need to eat, it was apparent that they often did, just to experience the pleasure of eating. The breakfast looked delicious. There was a silver clock on the wall over the bathroom door, divided into 10 divisions, each division relating to a tenth of a decan of the 3-decan cosmic day. In one of the chapters, they described their time, the decan, D-E-C-A-N. As each division passed, the blue light spread wider on the clock face, like ripples spreading on a lake. Essiana was relieved to see that only 3 divisions of the first decan were lit up with blue, which meant she had 2 hours before Mastiana was to meet them, since he was coming at the beginning of the 5th part of this first decan of the day. She sighed with relief. She still had time to rest, to lie and luxuriate in the big circular bed eating her breakfast, and to wonder what the day would bring. She pressed the switch to let the outside light in through the exterior walls and sat propped up in bed, leaning back against the pillows, bathed in the violet light of the Lyrian sky. She tasted the green drink. It was delicious. As she sipped, she could feel the energy of the drink make her body tingle, and she suddenly felt full of energy and eager to begin the day. You ever ate any spinach and felt that way, guys? I have. That's just an example. Quickly, she ate some of the fruit and, throwing off the bed cover, slipped into the shower in the bathroom next door. The shower stall was round in shape, and it also stood in the center of the room. The water temperature and on and off functions were controlled by thought. The instructions for this were clearly written in universal light language on the door and in the visual she had watched the day before. However, Essiana thought it was wise to test it out before she stepped inside. Warm, hot, high cascade, she programmed with her mind. She then said another phrase that was evidently an on-off command, and the shower began to flow. Gingerly, Essiana reached out her hand to test the temperature. Perfect. She stepped inside and stood for a long time under the hot water. In fact, she spent so much time under the shower that she had to hurry to dress and take the spiral staircase of light to the entrance lobby where Mastiana was to meet them. Just as she arrived in the lobby, she saw him walking through the revolving doors of the hotel. Turning the page. Let's see. He smiled at the group from Sirius. Good morning. I hope you're all refreshed. Let us sit for a moment. I have something to show you all. In his hands, he held a gold box similar to the silver box that the Andromedan Malwi had to give to the Galactic Council on Antares. Look what I have, said Mastiana. This box is almost the same as the silver box that contains the vibrations of the Andromedan race. We received this gold box only yesterday from the Elohim on Mintaka, Orion. Mintaka, Orion. That's Mintaka, Orion. As you know, Essiana, the Elohim didn't come to the meeting of the Federation on Antares, but now they have sent this gift to aid you all with your work. They say that inside this box are special frequencies of light from the angelic realms and from the Elohim who hold the ultimate responsibility for all of creation. So these frequencies in these boxes we're receiving today, you guys. We have in the last years, but very upgraded today, strong, as I explained earlier. They say that inside this box are special frequencies of light from the angelic realms and from the Elohim who hold the ultimate responsibility for all of creation. These vibrations are also to be implanted within the template of the new human of the earth, even though the spiraling light grids of creation will come through the women of Lyra. These vibrations are of love and peace, and they will work together with the gifts of the star nations to ensure that in a future time, the humans will triumph over forces of darkness and choose the light of the one God. They will be able to do this because that light will also be within them. Wow, you guys. So I know in the astrology, Cynthia's shared in the past 2 weeks is the angels of peace and love. And we're doing this as they're talking about in the book. When the humans come of age at the time that the earth ascends in vibration to a fifth dimensional frequency of light, which I shared at the beginning of the call, we're in the last wave of fifth dimensional consciousness. Starting December 21st, we'll integrate it through March. When the humans come of age at the time that the earth ascends in vibration to a fifth dimensional frequency of light, they will be besieged by forces that would try to prevent this divine plan of God. With this gift, well, the Diamonds Network's making sure that's not happening with the law of one, right? The Trumper law. Okay, They will be besieged by forces that would try to prevent this divine plan of God. With this gift, the gift of the oneness within, they cannot fail, and they cannot be corrupted. When the time is right for this shift to occur, these vibrations from the source of all light will be triggered within them. I believe they're already triggered, you guys, because we're in the fifth dimensional energies now. They will not be deceived by false teachings from those who seek to control, and they will remember their purpose and their part in the divine plan. The Syrians were very happy to hear this news. This is a great blessing, said Essiana. May I hold the golden casket in my hand? I would like to feel its vibrations. Mastiana placed the golden box in Essiana's outstretched palms. Immediately, she felt such a high vibration of love and joy that she almost began to cry. Although she could not see them, she felt the presence of many angelic beings around her, and it felt as though this golden box contained within itself all that I'm sorry, guys. She felt the presence of many angelic beings around her, and it felt as though this golden box contained within itself all that was light. She smiled at Mastiana and the others. My goodness, she exclaimed. The energy I feel, it is so strong. When I hold this golden casket, I feel the presence of many high, loving beings. I feel that the angels of heaven are with me. It is indeed a wonderful gift that the Elohim are giving to the people of the earth. Keep the box safe within the blue palms, Mastiana, while we go out into the city, and when we return, we will seek to uncover more of its blessings. She handed the golden box back to Mastiana, and they walked together into the reception area of the hotel, where they placed the box into safe storage. Then they went outside to join the others who were patiently waiting under one of the many blue palm trees. Now let us begin our tour, said Mastiana. Today I want to take you on the Cana system to many of the most interesting and important places in our city. But let's begin right here at the Blue Palms. We are very proud of this building. It was designed by one of the renowned architects in the Lyrian system, Tomasi, Tomassi. The principal feature of his style of architecture is that his buildings all open at the roof line so that one can look at the violet sky. From the opaque exterior walls, you can see out, but there's also a view upward. This building is not new. It is, in fact, very old. Tomasi's style of architecture quickly became popular as the violet skies of Lyra are so beautiful. Nowadays, most of the buildings of Epsilon Lyra are designed this way. They're not wasting their beautiful sky, right? They're making their buildings so they can enjoy the sky all day long. The Lyran buildings are constructed of a type of crystal sheathing that is created especially for this purpose. It is as hard as diamonds. It is as hard as diamonds, and it holds, reflects, and refracts light according to the requirements inside each room. He gestured upwards to the top of the building. You will have noticed in the lobby that you can see through the glass dome of the roof to the sky beyond. It's the same in my home. I don't have windows in my home either. The external focus is up through the roof to the sky and to the emerald hills beyond. Essiana wished she could see Mastiana's home, but she didn't say so. She felt a little uncomfortable and acutely aware of his presence. Mastiana next took the group to a square in the center of the city. Here there were 4 gardens of flowers and shrubs, each bordering a central area paved with a crystalline stone that glinted bronze. This square was a favorite meeting place for the people of the city. and many sat at little tables dotted around the perimeter of the gardens, laughing and talking together. This square is at the very heart of our city, said Mastiana. Certainly, it's a place where people meet people, but it's much more than this. Many years ago, when our civilization began, there was a being who came through the Lyrian Stargate from the higher worlds of light. His name was Majorelka, Marjorelca. And he was what you might call a fallen angel. He was part of the angelic rebellion in the higher heavens, and he came to Lyra by way of escape. He was not really bad, but he was overconfident and controlling. He intimidated the people and coerced them into helping him. He wanted to go as far down through these 12 dimensions of reality as possible. He wanted to go to Earth as he thought he would be safe there. At that time, Earth was a fifth-dimensional planet, not resonating in the third dimension as it is today. That was a long time ago, you guys. You can find, Andrew Barthes tells the galactic history of our Earth. It's very, 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 very interesting. We're really, really, really old, Earth is. Been through a lot. Majorelka tried to get the Lyrian people to agree to his request to help him reach Earth, but they would not agree. They knew that if they aided him on his journey, it would affect them karmically, and they did not wish to be tainted by these vibrations. Majorelka set a plot. He knew that the Lyrians could travel interdimensionally, although at that time we did not have the transporter technology that now allows us to travel instantaneously to other worlds. He waited until one of our spacecraft was going to Earth and climbed on board. He hid so that he would not be found, and when the craft entered the gravitational fields of Earth, he left the craft and flew to Earth below. He was part of what you may have heard spoken of as the Lucifer rebellion in the higher heavens. Majorelka persuaded what at that time were the quite highly evolved people of Earth to turn away from the light of the one God within them. Since that time, they have been lost. Forces of darkness came upon them, and the fall in consciousness of the people forced a similar change in vibration to come upon the Earth. It is only when the people of the Earth can join again in peace, love, and oneness together that the Earth will be set free and become once more a fifth-dimensional planet like Sirius. In this square, we have a monument to remind us that although we stood firm against the Majorelka, in a moment of neglect, we unintentionally allowed him to take a refuge with us and get to Earth. This statue of a golden tree in the center of the square is to remind us that all life must be nurtured and that we, the people of the star nations, all come from the same source, which is God, the creator of all. It also reminds us that we are each like a branch on a galactic tree of life. Together, we can save the people of the Earth. They all stood in silence before the statue of the golden tree. Asaya, the Syrian geneticist, picked a white flower from the garden and placed it at the foot of the statue. I am glad that you told us this story, Mastiana, she said. It makes me all the more determined to help create a human being who will be empowered to be everything he can possibly be and more. I always say we're limitless, right, guys? It doesn't seem fair that Earth beings were so affected by twisted and wrong advice and that they paid such a high price. It could easily have happened to us. Nevertheless, I also see that if this had not occurred, we would not be here now preparing to create a being who might one day shine as the brightest light of all the star nations and help us all come together as one people. It makes me all the more determined to do this job. He was just describing humans on Earth, what we're changing into, and what we're going to do. Marciana caught Essiana's eye and smiled. He knew that a visit to the statue of the golden tree would help the Syrians truly understand why this project to create the new human being was so very important. Now I will take you all to my favorite place, he said. This is a town high in the Emerald Hills, and yet the Kana system will still take us there. However, we must first go to another station to begin this journey, as only one terminal is routed in this direction. He led the Syrians to the Kana station in the square, and soon they were flying through the air, encased in the silvery blue energy wave toward a Kana terminal in the foothills of the Emerald Mountains. When they reached this station, they sat for a short time admiring the view of the city stretching below them, before again boarding the Kana for a town called Etsos, which was at higher altitude. When they arrived at Etsos and left the Kana station, Essiana and the others could well understand why Marciana loved this place. The low, rambling houses and other rustic buildings of this hilltop town shimmered pale blue under the violet sky. They felt as if they were at the top of the world. They walked toward a lookout point on the ridge of the hills to admire the view from every direction. Marciana told them that Etsos looked rather like the cities of Epsilon, Lyra, as they had been many thousands of deacons before in the distant past. The houses here were not constructed of the artificial glass-like material like the other buildings on Lyra, but were hewn out of a real crystalline blue stone that Marciana told them was quarried in these hills. This stone is very sacred to my people, he explained. Long ago, supplies of this stone became exhausted on Lyra. Now this town, Etsos, is the only place in Epsilon Lyra where it can be seen. 4 more pages. Oh, this is beautiful. Lots of detail, guys. And helps us now. If you touch the stone of this wall with your hands, you will feel its energy. It has very powerful properties. So please don't be concerned if you feel somewhat strange. They all walked toward one of the buildings and placed their hands on the blue stone. It felt cold to the touch, almost icy. As she held her hands to the stone, Essiana felt her consciousness start to shift. It felt like she was surrounded by a misty blue light. She could see a vision of herself, but it was not herself as she was now in this body, in this life. The woman she saw and felt in her vision was running in the sunshine down a grassy slope. She was with a man and with many children, and they were all laughing and running together in a bright light. She heard a voice inside herself say the word Astiera, but she had no idea what this could mean. All of them had unusual vision when they touched the stone. Marciana explained that the pale blue crystalline stone had the capacity to transport a person into their future. It could also take one back into the past, but it mainly showed future prediction. They all thought this quite exciting and wanted to have another try. The second time, Essiana saw herself radiant in a body of light. Again, she did not look like herself as she was now, a little similar perhaps, but the woman she saw in her vision was much taller, stately, and radiating white light. Essiana got the word past, and so it felt to her as if this vision were of a past time, a time when she had perhaps been a newly incarnated soul. They all had one more connection with the stone. This time, Essiana saw herself not as a woman, but as a young child, a little girl. She was watching a man kneeling in prayer. Essiana felt that he was very sad. She saw the man turn to look at her. His blue eyes were full of love. and he radiated peace. Essiana did not get a name, but she felt a tear trickling down her cheek, and a great longing came over her for the man to hold her. They were all rather quite quiet after they had touched the stones. Everyone had received visions of the future and the past, and were all processing what they had seen and felt. No one wanted to talk about it. It felt too personal, private, and intense to share. They were still in this rather subdued mood, standing together, looking out across the mountains, when Mastiana put his hand on Essiana's shoulder and said quietly, "I want to talk to you apart from the others, just for a moment. Will you come with me?" Essiana started a little as she was reliving what she had felt as the little girl watching the man in prayer. She stood up and walked with Mastiana some distance away where they could talk privately. Essiana said, Mastiana, "I am sure you are aware that I have the utmost regard for you. I know that at this time and in this life, we can never be together as one because we are from different star systems and different dimensions. But when I touched the blue stone, I had a vision that I must share with you. In my vision, we were here on Lyra. It was not in this life, but in some future time." Now, this is just an example, you guys, because once we get integrated into seeing and co-creating with all our other dimensional time, space, and other planet beings, we may be meeting other beings from a different planet and marry them. Anyway, Andrew Bartzis talks about that too. But when I touched the blue stone, I had a vision that I must share with you. In my vision, we were on Lyra. It was not in this life, but in some future time. I felt quite overcome. It seemed in my vision that we were standing in the great hall of my people, and that in the sight of all, our souls were being joined together through all time. The people were cheering and clapping and throwing flowers. His black eyes glistened with unshed tears. He held Essiana's hand in his and turned her gently to face him. "I need to tell you that I love you. I know that it's not the time or the place to say these words, and that really I should keep this knowledge of the future to myself, but something deep within me compels me to speak to you. You need to know that you are not alone on this long journey of your soul, and that one day I will find you again." Essiana lifted her face to his. In Mastiana's jet black eyes, she saw both longing and passion. She squeezed his hand in hers, and her body trembled slightly with emotion. "I will wait," she whispered softly. "I love you, too. For a long time we have been meeting on Antares for the Galactic Council of Light assemblies, and I loved you from the beginning. This vision you had gives me hope. I will always carry this memory that you give me here at Epsos in my heart. It will give me much strength and carry me through the lifetimes that may lie ahead." They smiled at each other and then turned and walked back toward the group. Christiana was watching their exchange, and she smiled knowingly at Essiana. She had noticed that Essiana always seemed self-contained and somewhat alone, focusing very much on her work. Rarely did she join in with the good-natured ribaldry of the others, although she was always friendly and approachable. Christiana had thought that this was because she was the leader of the project and believed in keeping a professional distance. Now, in observing her with Mastiana, Christiana saw another, previously unknown side of Essiana. She often wondered why Essiana was not in a relationship on Sirius. She was very beautiful with her long, silky, dark brown hair, almond-shaped green eyes, and pale alabaster skin. She was also popular and highly respected as a leader of her people. What was it? Why was it that Essiana seemed to spend so much time alone? Seeing the supposed Ice Queen holding Mastiana's hand and gazing into his eyes was quite a revelation for Christiana. Now she understood much better why Essiana seemed to isolate herself. It's because of the council ruling that they are apart, she thought to herself. It's because the difference in dimensional vibrations between them are too great. We are only able to stay here on Lyra for one cosmic month. For Essiana to live here permanently, or for Mastiana to live with her on Sirius, would be too hard on them both. I can understand why the council does not allow this type of union. It is an impossible dilemma, and one that would also affect any children they might have. Her thoughts were of Makana and others on Sirius, who were born as children of two races. She felt sad for Essiana and sent waves of love and compassion flowing toward her. I'm on the last page. Essiana felt the energy and turned around. She had tears in her eyes, but she was smiling. Come, Christiana, she said, reaching out her hand. Come and look at this incredible view. They both turned and walked toward the edge of the hilltop. The town of Epsos, with its pale blue stone buildings glistening under the violet Lyrian sky, was without doubt one of the most exquisite places they had ever seen. There were few people around, so the town was peaceful and still. On the other side, looking toward the city, they could see the many pale blue, crystalline buildings towering upwards, with the light trails of the Cana system dancing like silver ribbons in the sky. On one side, the view down the mountainside was spectacular. The view in the opposite direction was further toward the Emerald Hills, which stood like sentinels, imposing and majestic as far as the eye could see. For several minutes, they just stood in silence, drinking it all in and recording images to take back to Sirius to show their friends. It was Mastiana who broke the spell. Come, everyone, he said. There is yet one place I wish to show you today. This place is far from the city, in the opposite direction from here. It is a place of high vibration. It is where the Lyrian Stargate, or portal, opens to the higher worlds of light. This is the place of the conjunction of the energies. It is called the gateway to the 13th heaven, as it is the gateway from these 12 dimensions of the lower world into the more refined light fields of the higher heaven. All souls enter and all souls leave this 12-dimensional matrix of the lower heavenly world through this gateway. Most of all, I want to show you this Lyrian Stargate, as I feel that you will better understand your mission here when you see and feel its energy. Oh, that was beautiful. They're leaving us till next time, which is Chapter 6, the Lyrian Stargate. Now, as you read these, we'll be able to visit these worlds someday, and you'll remember you heard it read in a book. We'll be even to visit the Lyrian Stargate. Woo! Can't wait till next time. All right, guys, let me get a drink of water. Somebody come in and comment. What did you think? I just thought it was beautiful. Anybody want to chime in here? Anybody? Well, that was great. Okay, guys, well, that's it for tonight. Stay tuned to next Monday for Cynthia and Chris and our Galactic brothers and sisters. Thank you, Galactic, for attending tonight, too. And I just ask for, in the highest good of all concerned, that you visit our friends here at the Diamonds Network. Visit them tonight. Inspire them. Enlighten them. Initiate them. Give them wisdom, knowledge, and strategy in their own lives and beyond. Have fun galacticizing, you guys, in your dreams, and keep shining, all you diamonds. Love you, and we'll see you Monday night. Be sure to listen to last night's call, Wednesday. It's on the recorded line now. It'll be uploaded to YouTube soon. Mwah. Love ya. Mwah.